Alright, good morning gamers. And we're back on Void Breakum. Did a little bit of Utopia Must Fall. What did I say I was gonna play with? The double barrel shotgun, right? No modifiers, obviously. I need to look into when this game is gonna get updated again, to be honest. We're gonna start the run. And should I do an infinite loop run or should I just do one loop? I think maybe just run loop is enough. Right, run loop should be enough. Ooh, off rip. And a clutch. Maybe I should have done accuracy. Okay, we're just gonna skip the beginning. We're gonna try to get to these runs quicker. Let's see. But see, that's the thing. I don't really want the damage fall off, right? Auto shotgun. Should we do an auto double barrel shotgun? Base grenade damage, obviously. Okay. Obviously, we start off with an anomaly off rip. Let's get straight into it. Where's the anomaly at? Oh, oh. Wait, I forgot the first shot does so much damage, right? Isn't that how it is? Alright. Let's see, what do we have here? Just
all external communications nullified. External
I mean, we have like no money anyways, right? Got some money now. Oh my god, this is gonna be a little bit horrendous. I think you need to update the corruptions. I think corruptions are kind of slow. Uh. Boop. Boop. Okay. Boom. So I was watching this video about how does PvP, I mean not PvP, does PvP suck? And I think what people forget about, you know, why PvP becomes increasingly so toxic is because of the simple fact that, like, in real life, if you try to PvP someone in real life, one is already, like, you know, repercussions, right? I think we can all agree about that. There's repercussions for trying to fight somebody in real life, right? But and then not even that, like, repercussions, you know, there's a chance of dying, there's a chance of being incredibly hurt, and you're out for multiple days. But let's take, like, PvP extraction looter shooters, right? Because I feel like that's a good example of, like, resource gathering, resource management, and, you know, fighting over. If we did PvP extraction looter shooters in real life, it would never work, right? Like, somebody gets injured for a long period of time, and then they're just out for the count, right? You know, that's kind of ordeal for like months, weeks, days, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's like months, days. That's days, weeks, months without having any resources, pretty much, without the ability to gather any resources. But, you know, in a video game setting, you just hop straight back into the run, right? You die, go back straight into the run. And I think video games have a good idea of, like, how to explain, having low risk. When you have low risk and high return, right? Like, you can get high return value. Because I feel like that's kind of the whole point about, you know, video games, is that yes, you may die, but you can just come back to life, right? In real life, you don't have that luxury, right? So PvPing in real life is, you know, less suitable for resource gathering, resource management, and in real life it forces people to kind of be like, work together more, so and so, right? And actually be like more of a team than just, you know, everybody's out for themselves. So when you take something like, I don't know, like Arc Raiders, for example, right? You take like Arc Raiders, or you take like Tarkov and stuff like that. It's just, you get a bunch of, you know, low risk. You know, there's not real much punishment for dying, you know, besides losing your loot. But then it's like, well, in Arc Raiders, you can get your loot back very quickly, or you can just get it by killing someone else, and then it increases just and then it's just, so it's high value with low risk, pretty much. Sorry, I'm like trying to focus on the game also. So what happens in like PvP extraction looter shooters is that everybody becomes just a PvP person, because the more times you die, the more, like, the increase of, like, you being desensitized to your death and losing everything happens, right? Like, you kind of stop valuing, you know, your life as much. You're like, okay. if I die, it's okay. I'll just go back into the run again, right? It's okay. I'll just go back into the run, get more loot, get out of there, maybe even get out of there even quicker, right? Or you can do like an Arc Raiders where you take like a free loadout, or like Escape from Tarkov. I guess is like you become a scav, right? And that's kind of just like the easy way of being able to get a lot of loot very quickly and getting the fuck out very quickly without having to, you know, I don't know, without having you to, you know, bring in a whole loadout, right? So you still get, so now the risk of, you know, the risk of death is even lower, right? Because now the risk of death is only concerned about not even just dying, but now you're just like really not losing much because you took a free loadout, right? And then you can still get high value loot still. So the lower the risk of, or the less like punishing is to die in PvP games, where dying doesn't feel really all that punishing, leads to this kind of like toxic society buildup of, okay, I might as well just PvP everything because if I die, it's okay. I'll just get my stuff back later, you know? And the thing why I've talked about this in multiple videos about Arc Raiders, not just because it's the like biggest game out on multiplayer, just because of the fact that I don't think people think about Arc Raiders in that kind of way, where Arc Raiders is the lowest punishing, lowest risk, you know, PvP extraction looter shooter. So you're able to just do a lot of stuff. And the other reason why I talk about it is because I don't think the devs intended Arc Raiders to be this kind of PvP game, right? I don't think that was a necessary intention. I think that's why they tried to make, you know, the arcs stronger and stuff, so that people feel like the bigger the real fear is the arcs, but really the real fear in Arc Raiders is just other players, like. And going back to like being desensitized, yes, people become desensitized, but also they also get kind of like annoyed, you know? They get annoyed having to constantly deal with it, right? Having to feel like I have to fight for my life, right? And this goes into like what I was talking about, like in real life. In real life, it'll be the same way. Like, imagine in real life, every time you want to go get food, you have to fight somebody to get food. You know, like it's annoying. Is the whole point of why like people became, you know, tribes and stuff. It's not just because of just commonality, but also socially, it gets rid of the annoyance of always having to compete with each other. Like, people like competition, but they don't want 24/7 competition. So when the guy was talking about like Arc Raiders, not Arc Raiders, but multiplayer becoming, you know, worse, it's not that multiplayer games are sucking or worse. It's the fact that people socially, as an animal, are not brain-wise meant to have to do 24/7 competition. Like, people forget that we're like social creatures, and that as a social creature we're supposed to be a lot more social with each other, and, you know, not so competitive with each other. We're supposed to, like, you know, make friends and stuff like that, right? Like, we're not like beasts, you know, like beasts. How do I explain it? Beasts hate it, right? The thing about beasts is that they hate having to do that all the time, but they're forced to do that all the time. But why do you think like basic animals also do they make heart herds, flocks, and stuff like that. It's because it's annoying to having to keep on competing with all of them. Like imagine like those those pigeons you see on those power lines, or those birds you see on the power lines. Imagine what their mindset was is if they had to like sit there and compete 24/7 for the power line, Imagine that. Just to use the power line. Imagine 24/7 competing with power lines. They get annoyed, right? And that's the whole reason why like those birds, they learn to kind of just either just deal with each other or become like a flock. It's so that they don't have to do this whole competing. Like as a flock, they're like, okay, we all know that this is our power line as a group, right? Like that's kind of just the gist of it, right? So when people complain about like arc raiders or like multiplayer games with PvP in it, it's just because technically speaking, oh my god, that's kind of crazy. Technically speaking, wait, continues to increase the number of bullets in the magazine that have additional damage. Oh my god, wait. This is just every shot at that point. As I was saying, it becomes increasingly more annoying, right? To just having to be forced to compete all the time. And that's why people don't like PvP as much. In video games, it's not necessarily just it's not a skill issue. It's just that individual just doesn't want to have to keep on dealing with it, right? Like that's how it is. They don't want to have to feel like they have to continue dealing with having to fight somebody for some basic ass resources, some other shit. Like that's why Arc Raiders tries to add in like these big group project bosses, but they realize that it doesn't really work so well because after like a lot of people have done it, after a lot of people have done it, it's like, okay, well, do I want to try to find a group that wants to help take down the matriarch, or do I just third party the group that took down the matriarch? Which is easier? Just third partying the group that took down the matriarch, right? And that's why you sometimes see these comment sections of people are like, you're the reason why I don't want to play the game anymore and stuff like that and blah blah blah. But the real thing is that what people don't realize is that there's the risk of you dying has almost very little risk, right? That's what people don't realize. The risk of you dying has such little like punishment that it enables PvP. Pretty much. So if Arc Raiders would want to like try to tone down PvP, I mean they say that they have like a skill-based matchmaking with based upon like how often do you PvP and stuff like that, but I don't know how true that is. But if Arc Raiders really wants to make an attempt to tone down the PvP, you make one, the arcs more powerful, right? And then two, you make the punishment of death feel more punishing. You know, maybe you lose like some of your money also. I don't know, like right, maybe you lose part of your money so that you can't just, you know, you can't just die and, you know, still have money to just buy everything back, right? I don't know, something of the sort. But you get the idea I'm getting at, is that pretty much it's not multiplayer that's the problem. It's just trying to balance PvP that's the problem. And you don't want to make death feel punishing, because you don't want to make people who are trying to play a video game feel like they're playing your life, right? That's what Tarkov is for. So it does create a real dynamic of you do create a weird dynamic of how do I make PvP feel less toxic? How do I make PvP feel better as, you know, a game dev? How do I make PvP feel like I don't have to keep on punishing people so hard for playing PvP? And honestly, the real answer is that there's not much choice, right? This is what I talked about last time. I think PvE games and solo games are becoming more and more popular. Not because of the fact that I think PvP sucks. It's just that every multiplayer game feels like it has to have PvP in it, because you want to try to cater to all these play styles. But I really just think that they should just release an MMO, a massive multiplayer online game, you know, that's just strictly all PvE. I think that would work out way better, and not being like a gacha game, right? And this is the other thing, I don't think gacha games are really that big of a deal in society, right? I don't think gacha games are that big of a deal. And people don't want to feel like they're forced to play, you know, like I said, a gacha game to get that multiplayer feel. God, I'm falling asleep, my poor lack of sleep. Yeah, people don't want to feel like they're being punished for a playstyle, right? But like I said, I think people like RPG games because of the fact that you can make an RPG game not based around PvP. Like an RPG game is solely based around PvE, and PvP is like secondary. But like extraction looter shooters are pretty much PvP is kind of the first, and then PvE comes second, right? So I do believe, in my own personal opinion, that RPG games will eventually come back into the loop. But as for right now, they're really not all that useful, right? Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, right? Like, but it just feels like it feels as though PvP extraction looking to shooters, despite taking over the market. I don't know how long they're gonna last, right? I think once we get a good RPG game that's really solely focused around PvE, it'll be much better. Like player versus environment, I think it'll be much better. Because I do think people do want the camaraderie, you know? Camaraderie, is that how you say it? But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, I think people do want the teamwork more so than they want to have to keep fighting people. And that's what I think RPG games really does good at, is teamwork over fighting people. But we'll see. The heck? This is kind of cracked. Hold on. How do we do this? How do we... Because we could do this, right? I guess we could do this, right? Hold on. Your boy's kind of smart with it. Just saying. I do think people want more teamwork over playing player versus player, but I don't know. Who knows what? I know. But I think multiplayer games right now are doing the best they can for what it is. I'm not even lying. I do think does need to be a trend in society where multiplayer games are kind of falling off. There's a conversation to be had about multiplayer games and the state of multiplayer games. I'm still waiting for an MMO to be like, you know, SAO. No cap. Anyways, we're almost done with this run. Is it like 30 minutes per run? Falling asleep over here, man. Alright, 10 more sages. Let's go. Let's get it. Double barrel shotgun. We may need to do more challenges to unlock more weapons, but for now, there's not really much other weapons I really want. Better not fall asleep on my way doing it. You wanna know what I did for work Stock inventory or count inventory actually. Hold on. Oh my god. I need to lay down after I make this video. Leave it, leave it, leave it. We're just gonna buff this grenade up all the way. Okay. We're just gonna buff the grenade up all the way. I'll probably name this video like double barrel shotgun or something. And void breakers. I'm like trying to lock in. Jesus. Been printed the corner, bro. Can I climb? Alright. Are we on the last boss finally? Oh, we have one more stage. Now we're on the last boss. Alright, let's get it. Alright, let's end this run. 35 minutes. Jeez. Okay, hold on. Did I have a mod that gave me increased recoil? I mean, not increased recoil, decreases recoil. Did I never pick it up? Where? Does that count? Yeah, I am falling asleep at the sticks, man. Alright. We're gonna end on the 40-minute mark or the 50-minute mark? We'll see. Alright. Alright. We complete that. Okay, and we're in the run. Sorry about the quietness and like random shit I'm doing because I'm kind of tired. And that's if I hit the Alright. I'm ending there. See y'all in the next morning. Catch me in the streams. Download, love ya, and let me know what y'all think about multiplayer games. And at this point,